Good day and welcome back to another Dbz Dokkan video. In this video we're going to be taking a look at the performance of Strength Gogeta, the LR after his easy ape in Dbz Dokkan and we're going to see just how good he does in red zone against Cellmax. Now this guy will be good in a lot of red zones, but he's specifically good in red zones whereby he has access to his evasion. Now, for those who don't know, when he and Vegito transform, they get a full turn of guaranteed evasion, which is very, very crucial. And also, they have the ability to apply 70% evasion to themselves in the third slot or when they use their active skill, which is something that is incredibly helpful. So, obviously discussing, a little bit about, maybe the guys. In terms of Strength LR Gogeta, couple of things you need to know. So he starts out okay in his base form, gains 100% defense on his super attack. He's decent defensively after his super. Don't want to say he's super duper clutch. I do think there is some levels of restriction to him. I'd say the base form is definitely noticeably weaker than the transform state. Of course, this makes sense. The transform state of Strength Gogeta is very strong. As with Vegito, and I think both of them obviously are very much better in their transformed states than they are in their base forms. With that being said, I do think that Gogeta has a very solid foundation. He's got obviously that ability to stack attack and defense, for 3 turns or so in his transform state, which is very, very crucial to how well he does as a unit. He has guaranteed crits when he transforms at 24 ki, which is also very, very important. He gains 1 ki and 22% attack and defense per super attack performed, so he does not take too long to get up to speed. In the first or second slot, he has 2 additional attacks, each of which have a medium chance of becoming a super. And of course, he also has the ability to fire off a guaranteed additional in the third slot. Now the big thing is their active skill. So the active skill of Gogeta and Vegito can only be activated when the opposition is at 50% health or below. And this is pretty crucial. So it's crucial for 2 reasons. One, if you activate the active skill while they're in the third slot, they actually gain a ton of benefits. So the way they work is as the first attacker, they gain 2 additional attacks and 5 ki, and as the third attacker they gain 1 guaranteed additional attack, that's 7 ki. And the thing is if you activate the active skill in that third slot, they get treated for that 1 turn as though they have fulfilled both portions of their passive. So they end up having a turn whereby they literally can have 5 super attacks, I think, for Gogeta, and 6 for Vegito, or 7 for Vegito. I think it's 6. And then also obviously all the guaranteed crits as well. So all that extra ki kind of guarantees you have 24 ki with Gogeta, and so he ends up being really just a menace. And I think that's something that's very good. Not only that, but it activates his 70% evasion in the first slot, which means, barring the turn in which he appears, whereby he has guaranteed evasion, which you're going to see just now, he also actually has the ability to have a turn where he has 70% evasion, which again kind of contributes to this idea that it's just pretty good. He's really solid. He, brings a decent amount of strength to the table, and I think overall he's one of those units that can do a very, very, very good job. Now, of course, I think for the most part, he's a unit that's really, really, really solid in a number of ways. There is, though, the misconception that he's overpowered everywhere. He's probably, I'd say, 10 out of 10 in the second slot, 10 out of 10 in the third slot, and maybe 7 out of 10 for the first slot. He's not a first slot unit. When he stacks up his defense to a certain height, he can be decent. I mean, he can tank somewhat decently, but he never has that true level of ridiculous defense. His evasion is also completely conditional, so there's no evasion outside of being in the third slot or after firing his active skill in the third slot. But usually, honestly, enemies just don't last long enough. You're going to see Gogeta here, really awesome, nice big damage, those crits guaranteeing that even in his weakest state, in his transform state, he has an incredibly powerful sense of damage, and I think that's always something that's valuable. The 1 turn of guaranteed evasion is incredibly clutch, and he's got a ton of great linking partners. Tech Vegeta is great for him, AGL LR Gogeta AGL Gogeta is great for him. So you got plenty of really top-notch options that you can utilize. You don't have to stick with just one option. He's got a good spectrum of units to use. So I really do respect Gogeta. I think he's really just a really good unit, and I think overall he shows in the situation, and just in any situation in general. I think he shows that he's a unit that's flexible. Second slot, third slot, first slot with his evasion active. He can definitely carry you, and between him and Vegeta, the amount of damage they bring, enemies don't last long. Even really strong enemies with lots of health, things like that, they just don't last long. They just don't have this same level of resistance or strength or durability that you usually see units have, because he literally is critting every single attack, and he can fire off 3-4 of them, and that's I don't want to say it's obscene levels of damage, but it's pretty close to being probably like unbearable amounts of damage, like especially with the Rainbow, Link level 10, things like that. You can start to really get nutty, looking at things like 2-turn buffs and things like that units are starting to apply. This is a guy who can hit 16 million attack stats and just look really ridiculous. You're going to see him here. It's a sign of how to use the active skill. You can see it right here. Tank stat okay, by the way. AGL disadvantage, not bad. 40k, 380k defense, and 11 million attack stat, guaranteed crit, and no enemy is going to survive that. He does the follow-up, 7.5 million attack, and it's just, it's very, very good. So I think Gogeta, excellent choice for any red zone, especially that evasion. I think it does help him out. It's different in the Broly one. When his evasion is disabled, you'll see you can't use them as pseudo slot 1 tanks for that turn. Doesn't mean they're terrible, just is more of a limitation on them. But they're still great, and I think they're awesome. Bye.